Hey everyone, I'm John at Roadkill Incorporated. I've been buying and selling computers for 17 years, and through trial and error, I've learned how to buy at the right price so that you make money when you sell. And I've also witnessed so many people doing it completely wrong. The price you buy inventory at can absolutely make or break your business, but if you incorporate some fairly simple concepts, you can improve your abilities dramatically. There's a saying, you don't make money when you sell, you make money when you buy. And that's very true. It's absolutely predictable what things sell for. On eBay, for example, it's very easy to go to completed items and see what something has sold for over the last month. But buying, that's a different animal. Prices are all over the place, and especially prices of broken items. The best way to make money, honestly, is to buy broken items and fix and sell them. Because when things are broken, they lose value in the eyes of their owners, who will sell them for next to nothing, or even give them away, or even pay you to take them away. To make the most money, you need to specialize in repairing a category of item so that you're an expert at it. You can then fix it easily and for minimal expense and sell it at a high profit margin. When you sell something, the amount it sells for is the gross sale amount. Think of that as the ceiling, the most you'll get for one of that item. Let's say your cost, what you paid for it, is $100. You may incur additional expenses repairing the item or in the process of selling the item, like fees, but the total of all related costs is called COGS, or cost of goods sold. So $200 sale price minus 150 COGS is $50 profit. You should look at every potential transaction through this lens. The sale price informs you of what you should be paying for your inventory. Obviously, if you paid $150 for this item, plus the $50 in additional costs, then the $200 sale would be a complete wash and not worth your time. So you know that if you're going to deal in this item, you've got to acquire it for far less. People who only flip material that is fully working make less profit per transaction than those who repair. That's because the cost of an item that is guaranteed working is usually higher, but also because the labor time spent is minimal, maybe just cleaning and testing. So you can justify less profit and make up for it by selling increased quantity. By contrast, items which require repair can be purchased for far less and generate higher margin, but that requires increased labor time. Okay, so now you need to take a step back and ask a big picture question. In your business, how much money do you need to make to survive? Simple question, but you'd be surprised how many people never ask it. Let's say you need to make $3,000 a month. And let's say the previous example is typical of your transactions, $50 profit per transaction. Well, what does that mean? It means you need to do 60 of this transaction a month in order for your business to be on target. That opens up additional questions. Can you actually find 60 of this item every month? Also, does the demand exist such that 60 will actually sell in a month? Plus, how long does it take you to process each item? If each sale requires a half hour of your time, that's 30 hours a month. So is that viable for you? Remember, if you're repairing broken items, you probably make better margin, but the expenditure of time goes up. So let's say you repair your product and your margin increases to 100 from 50, but each item then takes you 2 hours to process. You only have to sell 30 now to make the $3,000, but 2 hours times 30 equals 60 hours per month of labor. So do you have that much time to spend? Is that trade-off worth it? And this is a simplification as well. There are likely other costs to take into account, such as renting a retail space or driving around in a car. You might be screaming at me right now saying, wait, this video is supposed to be about buying. Well, the reason I'm bothering with all this is that you absolutely must have this structure worked out before you even think about buying. If you're not taking the big picture into account, then any purchases you make are just random shots in the dark. Furthermore, even if you do the breakdown that I describe, you're really just guessing. You're guessing how many you'll be able to buy and sell and what you'll pay for inventory. So to be extra sure, I always recommend doing a proof of concept. A proof of concept is a small-scale experiment to figure out if your assumptions are accurate. Literally, it's a science experiment. Your hypothesis is what you think is true about your business plan. Then you do testing, say spend a month seeing if you can make the $3,000, or you could even do a much smaller test with less risk. Once the experiment is over, you analyze the data. Did you meet the goal or not? If you didn't, determine what went wrong, make improvements to your strategy, and try the test again. If you succeeded, you can still make improvements and go for a second round and scale up the goal to the next level until it's enough of a sure thing that you're ready to do this for real. As a refurbisher who repairs, if there's one essential rule about buying that I can offer you, it is this: never pay more than you can sell it for broken. Assume everything is broken, in other words, and do not let anyone entice you to pay a cent more than it would be worth if it was a completely dead item. If someone is offering you 100 of something for $50 each, and you know by looking at eBay completed items that you can sell broken ones all day for that, then hey, that's a good price. But if the seller is asking 100 each, under the assumption that some of them are probably good, then that's a bad price and you should reject it. You should reject it because it's a gamble. What if you pay 100 and they're all broken? That lands you in a really bad situation. You might be able to repair them and still make money, but you also might spend weeks processing the item just to cut even, or even have a loss. Again, paying beyond a broken price is gambling, and a business should never gamble. A business should only bet on sure things. People who gamble over a long enough period of time almost always lose everything, and you don't want that to be you. But if you only pay a broken price, you'll never be disappointed because worst case scenario, it's worth what you paid. I'm not saying don't buy working items, I'm saying buy working items for a broken price. If you succeed at that, and by chance they're all working, then you just got a massive windfall and your profit margin calculation will be super happy with you. One thing I want to be very clear about, it's hard to find the material at a broken price. Where people fail is expecting buying to be easy. They expect buying inventory for resale is like walking into a Target and purchasing toilet paper. It just isn't. If it was that easy, everyone would be self-employed and have thriving businesses. But finding that valuable profit margin is essentially the hardest thing for any business to do. So here's the bad news. When you're only willing to pay a broken price, you're going to have uncomfortable situations. You're going to have to say no a lot, and people will say no to you a lot. Or they won't say anything. They'll ghost you because they're embarrassed. But good riddance to them, honestly, because they weren't a match. People who expect they have working material may even get offended when you lowball them. You can alleviate a lot of this tension by explaining how your financial breakdown works. You're doing them a favor, actually, when you do. You're logically pointing out why their price is just too high. But again, you should expect buying to be hard work. It's really a numbers game. I've mentioned this in other videos, but in sales, there's a concept of a funnel. You drop 100 cold calls into the funnel, and maybe, if you're lucky, a single sale will fall out of the bottom. If looking in 100 different places to find the right price excites you because you know you might find one, then chances are you'll do well. If on the other hand, you get depressed because it seems like an insane amount of work, then you're far less likely to succeed. It's painful, but the good news is that it's not super hard forever. That's because the goal is to find long-term partners. Once you find a supplier that says yes to the right price, you should move quickly to establish an ongoing relationship. If your business and their business are compatible, there's no reason that the transactions shouldn't be ongoing. Think of it this way. If you go on a date with someone and it's the best experience of your life, then you want another date, right? You don't just walk away and find a different person tomorrow. The goal is a relationship. You might be skeptical about finding suppliers willing to sell at a broken price, but you have to consider that other businesses have their own motivations, their own calculation of what works for them. Sometimes the product you're buying is simply a byproduct of another company's process, and it's not worth their time. Sometimes they just want it gone. Sometimes they're dealing with $20 million deals in their own core business, and the occasional few pallets of your product that show up are just a nuisance to them. If you act as a friendly service provider who takes away their problem, that's all they care about, and they'll keep calling you back. In business, there are big fish and little fish. The smaller fish survive on the scraps of the bigger ones. And let's face it, at least in the beginning, you're a little fish. Again, I can't stress enough, it's a lot like a relationship. Actually, it is a relationship. It's a business relationship. You just have to find a fit out there in the world. Discard all the bad options until you find the good ones. It can take weeks or months, but once you find one, it can last years and it can benefit you to the tune of millions of dollars. And the pain of the struggle will be a distant memory. Let's face it though, we're all human, and now and then you'll break the rule and pay too much. Sometimes the gamble works out, But more often than not, it's a harsh reminder that I should have been more careful. The main thing, though, is to always keep your profit calculation and your goals at the top of your mind, to always be generally aiming in the right direction, and that keeps you from getting into too much trouble. Anyway, I hope this overview helps you and possibly improves your thinking on the topic. Let me know your thoughts and we can discuss in the comments. And by the way, this video is about the philosophy of buying, not showing you where to look or what to buy. So for more on those things, check out my other videos, including buying from electronics recyclers and don't start a repair shop. And I'll be posting more in the coming weeks. Thanks for watching.